So today I thought that it would be good to continue kind of documenting my pregnancy, and I thought it would be good to start talking maybe about the first trimester and the things that happened to me and symptoms and whatnot, because I'm already in the second right now and I'm starting to forget certain things. So I thought it would be good to get this on video. So for this pregnancy, I actually found out pretty early. It was about 8 days post-ovulation. But truthfully, I didn't have that many symptoms from the beginning. All I had really maybe were like mild cramps, and that was about it though. So that kind of went on for a while, and it really did not feel like I was pregnant, and it kind of made me a little nervous and unsure about whether or not this was real. So the only actual symptoms maybe that I had would maybe be the sore boobs, and then I would also get those twinges or cramps, which actually quite worried me a lot because that's usually what I would get right before my period. So it was kind of confusing to get those at that time. I also had mild back pain that would happen once in a while. I just did some stretches and that kind of helped out. I assume it's just because my uterus was stretching out in the beginning. Even though I was truthfully only expecting to get back pain way later on, so it was a little strange, but that didn't last for too long. So as for the nausea, I didn't get that in the beginning. It actually took me a bit of time, and I was a little nervous because like around the 7th week I was expecting to be completely nauseous. I hear everybody has horrible morning sickness, but also everybody says the fact that if you're sick, then that's a good sign that things are going well, that your hormones are kicking in. But it took a while for me, or at least I thought it would happen way earlier, like right after I found out. I only actually started getting some sort of signs around 7 weeks. And that was it wasn't actually any proper sickness, it was just maybe more like food aversion. I was kind of grossed out by anything that was greasy or anything that wasn't just plain bread or anything cold. But the actual proper sickness or morning sickness, I would say, only really kicked in around 8 weeks. And then after that, it was pretty consistent for a couple of weeks. So when it actually kicked in, I was expecting it to be way worse. I hear so many horror stories of people constantly puking every morning or all day and having to go to the hospital and just not being able to survive. I'm pretty grateful though. For me, it was fine. It wasn't fun, but I didn't puke only puke a couple times, and that was much later on. So in the first few weeks, really, it only was kind of like this nausea that was constantly there, and food aversion, intense food aversion, and I had a hard time also smelling certain foods. But aside that, I didn't have the insane nausea that I've heard about. I feel like the best way to describe it is to actually say that it was more kind of like a hangover in the sense of that, where I constantly felt dehydrated, and I also had this constant desire or like feeling like I'm about to puke but I'm not gonna puke, and that would just last from morning to night, and there wasn't much that would really help that. So in the end, the only actual food that I had a hard time eating was anything greasy. Besides that, I just also did not have any type of appetite. I didn't want to eat in general. So it was possible for me to eat, I just had to kind of force myself, and it was a lot easier though to be eating multiple small snacks and having one big meal. That would just make me feel even more sick also. So it's just, in the end, I ended up snacking a lot for the first trimester, or also just forcing myself to eat anything that I could possibly eat. So there are certain foods that I was okay with. Mainly it was carbs, which is like, I think everybody has this, where at least carbs are the only thing that seems appetizing or not like as though they're gonna make you throw up. So I loved bread, or I was okay with it more like, I really craved pretzels, which was kind of hard to find where I was living in Taiwan at the time, so it was just hard to find bags of pretzel, but we finally found some, and that was so satisfying. And also I really crave just like grilled cheese and tomato soup and saltines with like a bit of cheese on it, and that was it. Oh, and candy. I really want to just eat any type of sour candy that I could. But yeah, in the end, really, it was just, all I wanted to do was eat bread and cheese and drink ice cold water, and that was about it. I also enjoyed maybe like a clear broth of like kind of like any soup that didn't have much into it. Unless it was tomato soup, because I really crave tomato soup. But that was about it. There's nothing else really that I really want to eat at that time. So for me, my nausea just continued on through the first trimester, and then it went into my second trimester. So it didn't end like how I thought it would end, right exactly maybe around the 14th week mark or a bit before that. I was really expecting it to just kind of go away right away, but it took its time and just stuck with me for a while. So towards the 10th mark, I also started to get insanely tired. This is something that I've heard a lot about. I know that it's kind of like pregnant women are tired and they're nauseous. Those are the two big things. And so I was expecting this, but I guess I wasn't expecting how intense this tiredness would be. I literally could have slept all day and then slept all night and I would have been happy. I just didn't have any energy in me whatsoever, and it was insane. I couldn't understand how I was that tired, and I felt so bad about it. Like I felt like I should have been just being able to help out more, do things like my normal self, but I really, if I could, I would have just laid down all day long. So for this, my first pregnancy, I chose not to drink coffee, but I totally see why having a cup of coffee during the first trimester would have been really useful. That's when I should have been drinking coffee if I ever was going to drink coffee. I don't know how any other people can really do it, how they can survive. I didn't have to work in an office or anything like that, so I'm pretty lucky about that, but somebody who works like a regular 9 to 5, I don't know how you would be able to do it. So also around the 10-week mark, I got my first stretch mark, and that was really surprising and kind of just really depressing also at the same time. I was expecting them for sure. I just heard a lot of times that they end up appearing around your belly, maybe around the last few weeks of your pregnancy, or they start popping up maybe like in 20 or 30 weeks. But at the 10-week mark, suddenly I realized that on my breast that I actually had these claw mark type of like stretch mark looking things. They're red and they're on the inside of my breast, and I was really confused because initially I thought that maybe it was just my bra leaving some weird marks, but then the closer I looked, the more I realized that it was just stretch marks, and that was just a little upsetting. But I'm fine with them now. It was just a little strange for that to be happening so early when I was expecting it to happen only at the end, and I hadn't mentally prepared myself yet to see them, I guess. So now I'm actually in my second trimester, and I do have to say things are just a lot easier, and things are just going really great now. I don't have any of the nausea at this point now, and I don't have the tiredness that I had, so I just feel so much better. I really feel like first trimester is the worst, although obviously I don't know what the third one will be like. But from what I've heard, the first is the most intense one and just the most frustrating one because you just feel nauseous, sick, and tired constantly. So I'm happy to be out of there finally and just feeling like my normal self and just a lot, healthier and happier. So yeah, thank you for watching, and I'll make sure to keep updating you on future stuff. So yeah, thank you. Bye-bye.